Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So I'm back for another Scorpio's recap where I recap the juiciest parts of the viewing parties at Scorpio's bar, and this video is for the viewing parties for season 18 episodes 5 and 6. Make sure you also go and subscribe to Scorpio's YouTube channel, which will be linked in the description. They deserve more subscribers because they're putting out great content and it's important to support queer venues. So today we're going to be talking about Fuego exposes that some queens were trying to trick production in secret off camera. Crystal Envy reveals a juicy unaired fight between two queens on her season that was never shown, and the reason why Dee encourages queens to break their NDA as soon as they get on Drag Race. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. So we're going to start with the viewing party for season 18 episode 5, and the guests that week were Mandy Mango and Crystal Envy. So they started out with the host Erica Chanel asking Mandy how many times she auditioned for Drag Race. Mandy said she only auditioned one time and then got on, and so they clapped for her and called her a quote one-time wonder. Crystal said for her she auditioned 3 times before getting on, so third time was a charm. There was then an online question which was, what is the one thing that the audience consistently misunderstands about Drag Race, such as the judging, the edit, or the way people become villains? Crystal said there's so much that happens that doesn't get shown, because the queens are on set for 8 to 10 hours a day, but then it has to be compacted into an episode that's only 40 minutes to an hour long, so there are so many things that don't get shown, such as friendships between the queens or just other moments. And for example, there are many conversations that you think are really sickening in the moment and you're sure it will make it into the edit, but then it doesn't. Or that there was a whole fight that happened that you're hyping up pre-season and you're getting excited about seeing the fight on the show, but then when the episode airs, it gets cut out. So everyone is DMing you, asking you where the fight is and asking why we didn't see it. Crystal said she's not sure if she can say it, but then she said, quote, Corey and Hormona, gag. It was such a good little untucked moment, but nowhere in the edit. It was one of my favourite little fights. So Crystal was revealing that Corey and Hormona must have had a fight in Untucked that everyone was talking about, but it just wasn't shown. And this does make sense because if you've watched my previous Scorpio's recap from a couple of weeks ago, which I'll link to in the description, you may remember that Hormona Lisa was one of the guests at Scorpio's. During that viewing party, the queens were asked what they were most surprised about from their time on Drag Race, and Hormona said, quote, I really surprised myself when I didn't knock Corey King the F out whenever she was a C word to me in Untucked. It also seemed that Hormona had some feelings towards Corey because she mentioned her a few other times during the viewing party and it wasn't always in the best light. And some people were probably a bit confused when Hormona said that because on season 17 we didn't really get to see Hormona and Corey interact that much. However, from the sound of it, they had an entire fight in Untucked and perhaps others that were not shown, and clearly the other queens all thought it was definitely going to air, but it didn't. So that explains why Hormona may have felt a certain way about Corey. There was then another question about Crystal, which was about her elimination, because they had previously talked about the fact that many people were really shocked when Crystal got eliminated because everyone thought she was going to be a frontrunner. So the question was, does Crystal think production had a different plan for her, but then she got eliminated? Or does she think it just came down to that particular episode? Crystal said she thinks she would have gone a lot further in the competition if she had made it past Snatch Game, because the challenge the week after was the Rusical, and Crystal has been involved in musical theatre for years, so she thinks she would have done well. And then the challenge after that was the Design Challenge, and Crystal said she excelled in almost every design challenge as well. Crystal even said that although she didn't go as far as she planned on the season, she is really proud of the things that she did do because she did them well. And finally for this viewing party, there was a question about whether the queens would go back for an All Stars. Crystal said, quote, abso-effing-lutely, because she said she has so much more talent to show and she has a crown to win. They asked Mandy the same question, and Mandy referenced the fact that when she was at Roscoe's a few weeks ago, 2 of the Drag Race producers were in the audience, which a lot of people in the Roscoe's video comments said they did not like, because they said it felt like the producers were trying to monitor or control what the queens say, and it was off-putting. However, Naysha Lopez addressed that at the next viewing party and said the producers were there on vacation at the time, so it was just a coincidence and they were actually just there to have a good time. But going back to Scorpios, Mandy said, quote, "I know this ain't Roscoe's, so I don't know if any producers are in the audience this time," and everyone gasped and laughed. But Mandy continued and said she'd happily do All Stars again, but in a few years' time. And the thing that she really wants to do next is Sledgehammer Royale, which, for those of you who don't know, is a spin-off of Drag Race Philippines, where Asian contestants from other franchises all compete. Mandy added that she hasn't been back to the Philippines in 26 years, so she'd love to go back, but she also thinks that her drag would be understood differently with Sledgehammer Royale. Okay, so now let's move on to the viewing party for Season 18, Episode 6, and the guests that week were Didi Fuego and Hershey LaCourgette. So they started off with an online question for Didi, which was, what was her talent show going to be? Didi said she did post a preview of it on her Instagram, but she wrote an original song, which was all about how doing an original song is not a talent. She then said she was going to do what she described as 5 different viable and quantifiable talents on stage, such as live painting and also playing the trombone live. But she joked that they obviously felt like that was too much talent and the world was not ready to see it, which is why she was eliminated before. The question for Hershey was, would she do anything different for her talent show looking back on it? And they referenced her original song called Whiplash. Hershey said she probably would have dressed differently, and Didi said, quote, no safari, but Hershey said she would still do the safari because she loves doing stupid stuff and it was supposed to be dumb, and drag doesn't have to make sense to you because it makes sense to me. Hershey also explained that she was in the Amazon, as in the jungle, but Amazon was supposed to be like Amazon Packages, as in the company, but no one caught that reference. They moved on, and Erica asked how many times they had auditioned for Drag Race. Didi said she had auditioned 10 times for Drag Race US and then 1 time for Drag Race Mexico. Hershey said she auditioned for season 14 and 15 before getting on season 16, and for the last audition she did, she decided to, quote, just let them have it. She was literally just sat in front of the camera, telling them this is what she does, and you already know because you've seen it in my previous audition tapes, and she said that she put in, quote, no effort, but she said that they soon started calling afterwards. There was then another question for Didi, which was she shocked that she got eliminated first on season 18? And who did she think was going to be eliminated first? Didi said she had been preparing for Drag Race for 10 years, so there was so much more preparation than anyone would know, and it's not just about preparing your looks, it's also about preparing for things like the Snatch Game or stand-up comedy challenges, among other things. But Didi said if you look at her runway package, and she's posted her looks on Instagram, she thinks that that is a winning package. So she really felt that she had everything she needed to win this time, so she was very shocked that she went home first. One of the other hosts asked if Didi thought Mandy should have gone home instead of her, because Mandy was the one that Didi lip-synced against. But Didi said no, and actually she thinks that neither she or Mandy should have been in the bottom that week. Didi said it's called RuPaul's Drag Race, so it all comes down to what RuPaul thinks is funny and who the producers think is worth keeping around. She also said that Athena Dion had a storyline to tell because Juicy was still there, and Ru was very charmed by Darlene Mitchell, and so all of those things are valid. So it sounds like she was presumably saying that she thinks Athena and Darlene should have been in the bottom instead of her and Mandy, although she didn't actually say that, this is just a guess based on reading between the lines. Didi also said Mandy did a really good job during the lip sync, so she's not trying to say that Mandy should have gone home instead of her. But Dee Dee added that you didn't really get to see her in the lip sync because they cut out a lot of her parts and they only really showed Mandy. Dee Dee said that Mandy was eating it up, but from the parts that they showed, they made it look like Dee Dee was not doing anything during the lip sync, even though according to Dee Dee that is not true. Hershey said it was the same on her season, and she felt like Mirage and Morphine should have been in the bottom instead of her. They moved on and talked about episode 6, which was part 2 of the talent show, and Dee Dee said she had a bit of tea about this episode even though she wasn't there. Dee Dee explained that because it was Rate a Queen, it all came down to alliances and the queens agreeing to vote for each other. But what you may not know is that although they showed the queens making alliances in this episode, the alliances had actually already been made during episode 1, because the queens thought that the talent show was going to be in the first episode and they thought it was going to be Rate a Queen, so the queens had already started making alliances even back in episode 1. Dee Dee then spilled that, quote, some of the girls were in the bathroom tapping their microphones so that they wouldn't get heard by production. Hershey then said that that doesn't work, just as an FYI, and Dee Dee agreed that tapping your mic so they can't hear you doesn't actually work. So it sounds like Dee Dee was saying some of the queens were making alliances in the bathroom and they were tapping their mics to try and stop production from realising that's what they were doing. Dee Dee added that she was not invited into those conversations in the bathroom, but she has heard from other queens that they did do that. So Dee Dee said that some of the queens in the episode were saying things like, quote, I can't believe she's trying to come for me and vote people so I'm in the bottom with her, when you were the one in the bathroom tapping your mic. The others asked which queen Dee Dee was talking about, and Dee Dee just said, quote, context clues, and people laughed. And so although Dee Dee didn't say the name of the queen, in this episode we saw that Sierra Mist was trying to get people to put Discord Adams in the bottom because Sierra felt like she could take Discord in a lip sync, and then they showed Discord being annoyed about it. So presumably Dee Dee was saying that Discord was the one having secret conversations in the bathroom and tapping her mic so production wouldn't hear them, although this is just a guess and is not confirmed. They moved on and watched the runways for this week, and the category was Shake, Shake, Shake. During the viewing party, Dee Dee posted the look that she was going to wear for this runway on Instagram. Dee Dee explained that the outfit had 30 pounds of beads on it, which were all made in Mexico and then shipped to New York, where it was all hand applied by her, her boyfriend and some other people. And the base for the dress is actually Dee Dee's mother's dress that she wore to Dee Dee's brother's wedding. So she said that this outfit didn't really cost her that much, but she spent a lot of money on other things, so it's all about being clever where you can save money, because she didn't have a very big budget. There was then an online question which was, if you could go back in time and give yourself a piece of advice before going on Drag Race, what would it be? Dee Dee said, quote, break the NDA. As soon as you get the call, tell everyone. Everyone needs to help you prepare your package. She added that there's no point being secretive and not telling people, because then you struggle with 1 week left to go and trying to do everything yourself. So if you have a friend who can sew, or even an enemy who can sew, tell them that you're on the show so you can get help. Hershey said for her, if she could go back, she would just lie about her design challenge outfit, and when the judges asked her if she made the pants, she would have just said yes, because that was a big reason why she was eliminated, so she said she should have just lied about it. She explained that the pants were actually in the fabric that were provided, so she did actually make the blouse, which she thinks is sickening, and she added patches of the fabric to the pockets to make it look like a summer outfit. Hershey then joked that, quote, for whatever reason, Michelle was mad, F her, and people laughed, and Hershey said she should have just lied and said that she did make the pants. And finally, there was an online question that was a bit shady, which was, they heard that Hershey had to sell her car in order to pay for her runway package. But then they added that based on the outfits that she wore for the ball challenge, did she just sell the car parts or did she get scammed? And people in the audience gasped and laughed. They all said that was such a shady question, but Hershey said, quote, "The bank wanted their car back and I just let them have it." She added that the bank was Capital One and then said, quote, "They already sold the car, so get your money from whoever you sold the car to," and people in the audience laughed. So there you go, there was the Scorpios recap for Season 18, Episodes 5 and 6. Which group did you think did better in the talent show, Group 1 or Group 2? And how do you feel about the queens voting in Rate a Queen based on alliances rather than talent? Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to watch my videos before they go on YouTube, as well as see the things that I cut out of my Roscoe's recaps, as well as other exclusive content, please check out my Patreon. It just costs a few dollars a month and it really does help support the channel, and I'll put a link to my Patreon in the description. I'd also like to say thank you so much to all of my amazing Patreon members. I really do pinch myself all the time thinking about how lucky I am to have all of you supporting me, and it really does make a huge difference to the channel, so thank you all so much. Please make sure you like and comment on this video to help boost it in the algorithm and promote it to more people. And please make sure you subscribe. It's free, it only takes 2 seconds, and it really does make a big difference to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me in the future for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama. Thank you so much. Bye.